Right, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to another prediction and preview episode for Sky Bet League 1, match week number 11. I'm going to go 11, I'm not entirely sure. Some games, of course, quite a few games actually got postponed last weekend for international reasons, but we're back this week for a full programme in League 1 and football in general. I'm very, very excited for it. Really, really buzzing to have football back. A weekend with no football or limited football it's bizarre. It's not very nice. I don't like it, so I'm very, very excited to be delving back into some footy. Hopefully you are as well. Make sure you join the Discord server as well. A lot of people have been joining that recently. We did the fan call. I think that went out on Monday. So, it's gone down quite well, that episode. If you want to be part of those call-ins, a few people have been asking me, how do I get involved in those call-ins? The best way of getting involved is join the Discord server. And I'll randomly put a message in there, up for a call-in, thinking of doing one at this time, what suits you, and then we just fire away and we get a good episode out, sort of speaking to the fans, and that's the most important thing. So if you want to join the Discord server, the place is in the description down below, and also the comment section, because with football coming back, it's really good to have conversation coming back as well, and the best way to have that conversation is in the Discord server, but also in the comment section down below. So keep your discussions coming, make it a forum, make it a conversation, and I can't wait to read and be replying to a lot of them, as I always try and do. So very, very exciting times, and most importantly, football does return, which is really, really good. Right, so Fleetwood versus Barnsley is where we start, and you can see by looking at the league table first and foremost, Barnsley 5th in the league in those playoff spots after 10 games. One of the sides that did play during that international weekend last time around, and during that international weekend in which they did play, they earned another win, and that now brings them to back-to-back wins in Sky Bet League 1, hoping to make that 3 wins on the bounce away from home against Fleetwood on Saturday. 17 points from those opening 10 games, 5 wins, 2 draws and 3 defeats. It's a little bit hot and cold, but those last 5 in particular really starting to sort of develop the way Michael Duff wants his side to play. Did very well at Cheltenham, Michael Duff. Sort of started a little bit hot and cold, lost to Plymouth. I think that was the first game of the season, wasn't it? I think there was a little bit of it was always going to happen. There's going to be growing pains. There's going to be a need for time to click and time to really understand exactly the way that as a new manager, you want to put your stamp on the side. It wasn't where he just came in and all the players stayed and he just added players that he wanted to. A lot of players left as well. Woodrow left. Morton went to Luton. I mean, both of them went to Luton in the Championship. A couple of players left the football club. He had to bring some new faces in, and he's still trying to mould the way he wants his side to play, and that's going to take time. But so far, I think it has been really promising for Barnsley, and in particular, they're coming into this game with really good form. As for Fleetwood, another side, of course, who had a new manager coming in the summer, Scott Brown from Celtic in Scotland. 9 games played. They didn't play last weekend. 6 draws. They are a side that are currently winning the draw league, if you like, by quite a way, actually. Oh, no, to be fair, Charlton have got 5, so it's quite close to them and Charlton. Only 2 wins, really, and 1 defeat. They've only lost 1 game this season, but they are drawing those games, and again, you need to start turning those draws into wins, because we spoke about it with Tom. That's going to keep you in the league, but is it going to sort of take you to the heavy heights? It probably isn't, especially in sort of the long term, it won't. Short term, you can get away with it, and actually, they're doing fairly well. They are doing fairly well. Of course, they had quite a busy transfer window. I think they did really well in the window generally. But like I say, Scott Brown and Michael Duff as well, there is similarities there. They're still trying to implement exactly the way they want their side to play. And for Fleetwood, I think it's promising, a lot to build on, but lots also to improve on as well. Looking at the prediction and the winning odds, we always like to have a little look at the odds and the percentages that come with them. Fleetwood are 11-5, and expected chance of winning is 31%. Barnsley 5-40 is 44%. Actually, Barnsley outdo their specific odds at 52%. So Barnsley, the away side who are in those playoff places, are the favourites for this game, which I probably would. I would get behind. I understand why that is. That they're doing better. By looking at the league table, that is. The form isn't, dramatically different. But, the only difference is just 2 of those draws needed to be turned into wins for them to be exactly the same. So there is quite a substantial difference for Fleetwood. But again, it's not, it's not dramatically different. And both these sides are unbeaten in their last 5. So that's where the similarity comes in when it comes to form. I'm going to go with a Barnsley win, though. I'm going to go with the odds here, and I'm going to go with a 2-1 Barnsley win. It won't be as convincing as maybe those odds suggest, but I think Barnsley will win the game. I'm going to go 2-1. So Exeter versus Bristol Rovers is the next game you can see by looking at the league table. Let's start with Exeter, 10th in the league after 10 games. 14 points, a brilliant win last weekend against Forest Green Rovers, a side, of course, who got promoted with them in League 2. Bristol Rovers also, who they're playing on Saturday, also through League Two last year as well. They had a brilliant result against Forest Green. The way they played in that game was exceptional. Their goalkeeper also had a really good game. But Giovanni Brown, Sam Nombe, these are some exceptional players for Exeter this season who so far are proving to be pivotal in what has been an exceptional start to the campaign. And long may it continue, really. That'll be the message for Exeter and, of course, the manager as well, Matt Taylor. I look at Bristol Rovers, who are 21st in the league. I did get them to get relegated on my recent predictions. And by the way, coming back to Exeter really briefly, shout out to Harris, a good friend of mine, Exeter fan, was not happy with my bottom half prediction for Exeter. I can only apologise. And maybe I was a little bit harsh there because you're scoring goals, 16 goals, maybe sort of lower the amount conceded at 10, but still doesn't really matter when you're scoring 16. Giovanni Brown, Sam Nombe and others as well, but they're the two that really sort of shout and scream the real attacking force for them. I just think there might be a drop-off, but maybe I am being too harsh. I don't know. We'll have to find out, of course. Bristol Rovers, though, I did get them to get relegated. Between them and Cheltenham, I felt. But in the end, I went with Bristol Rovers. And, that's quite a big change in my original prediction. I thought they'd be fine. But their recent form, the way they're playing, a defeat at home to Accrington, on Saturday, last weekend, that is not a good result. That's not a good result. And at home, you've got to be winning those type of games. And that's no disrespect to Accrington. We know the quality of Accrington, of course we do. But at the same time, being the home side, you do expect better than that. And 3 defeats on the bounce is never good. 8 points from 10, 6 defeats so far this season. I wouldn't, and one thing I would say is I always read the comments, and someone said that Bristol Rovers did start badly in League 2 last season. Of course, we know how that ended up. They got promoted, hence why they're in this league now. And that is true. That is very important to mention. They did have a slow start under Joe Barton in League 2 last year, but League 2, League 1, there is a difference in the level. And also, I think playing catch-up in League 1 more than ever this year, the quality of these sides, the competitivity of the division is really, really difficult. And I don't know what Bristol Rovers sort of have in mind, really. I mean, staying in the league is now going to be priority. I think that probably was the priority anyway, as minimum. Could they push maybe top 10 or at least mid-table? I think it will probably be staying in the league now. I know it's only 10 games, but that probably will be the message, like I say, at least. And they easily could stay in the league, but that recent form, I know that is quite short-term bias, but they have got to be careful. They have got to be careful. Exeter, and the look at the odds, we haven't got Bristol Rovers, but we can say Exeter are favourites, 63% with those odds. 55 Exeter do actually go lower with those odds specifically, but generally 63% on those odds at face value. So they are favourites, the home side. And I'm going to back Exeter here. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win, which is not good for Bristol Rovers. I'm sorry, Charlie, if you're watching this. Of course, One Rovers Vlogs. Key players, of course, Collins for Bristol Rovers, and definitely Giovanni Brown and Sam Nombe for Exeter. I probably would go with Giovanni Brown. He has started the season really, really well. Scored, was it a hat-trick against Forest Green, or at least 2 goals? It might have been a hat-trick. I think it was 2 penalties. But either way, he's a great talent and certainly somebody to watch out for. So those 2 players for either side, keep an eye on them for them because they could be good. So Accrington versus Morecambe is the next game. You can see by looking at the league table here. Accrington 13th in the league. Last 2 games have ended up with them getting 6 points from a possible 6. So really good last 2 games. Lots of confidence to take from those 2 matches. 13 points from those 10 games. 3 wins, 3 defeats, and 4 draws as well. Quite a few draws early on. They weren't unbeaten for about 3 or 4 games, and a lot of them were draws. But still, an unbeaten record is what John Coleman would have stuck your hand off for. Maybe a few wins in there might have been nice, but either way, they are now starting to pick up some wins, which is important after those 3 defeats before those last 2 games. But a lot of confidence to take into a Morecambe side who are, they are struggling, aren't they? They're 23rd in the league, 7 points from 10, 5 defeats, 4 draws. They are drawing quite a few games, which is, of course, better than losing them. But you've got to pick up more points at this point in the season. It is still, completely open. Any side could go down, any side could go up, and any side could go anywhere. It's that early. But I do worry a little bit about Morecambe. I worry about those goals. 7 goals scored in 10 games. They need more. And last season, their goals came from Stockton. Those goals came from, it was just Stockton, really. And he hasn't scored a goal this season. So I do worry about maybe that output. And in a game like this against Accrington, being the away side, you do need a sense of output. Accrington have scored 11, so they conceded 12 as well. The 18 conceded for Morecambe will be a struggle. So, Yeah, let's see what happens in this one. Looking at the odds, take a look at it. Accrington 67 to 100, so that's 60%. Morecambe 19%. Both sides actually do worse than those specific odds, but Accrington, the home side, are the favourites, which you can see why. Morecambe, they have got a weak squad in my eyes, and when the key player isn't even firing in that, generally quite weak squad anyway, things are going to get very, very difficult for them. So I'm going to go with a Accrington win here. I'm going to go with 2-0. I don't always back the bookies, but so far I am. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win. For Accrington. Convincing, comfortable. Another one there, Sean McCoy. I'm highlighting him. I think he's going to score a goal because he always gets in there. If he doesn't score, he'll definitely assist the goal because he's so influential. Talking about output, he's a very key player when it comes to attacking output for Accrington and has been now for many, many years down that left-hand side. You can see him there, 7.39 rating again this season at 34 in Sky Bet League One. The man, he's a madman and he does exactly what he needs to do in League One, and he does it all the time. And again, I think he's going to continue to do about 38, maybe even 40. He's that consistent, and he fits that style of John Coleman's to an absolute T. Right, let's go to the next one then. Let's go to Bolton Wanderers. Let's go there. Let's go to University of Bolton Stadium because they're hosting Lincoln City, and I'm intrigued by this. Let's see what we can talk about here. Lots to talk about when it comes to Bolton because they pick things up. Last 3 games have ended in 3 wins on the bounce. They are coming into this game with a lot of confidence and a lot of high spirit, and so they should. They're in those playoff places. 9 games played. They have got a game in hand on quite a few teams in that top 6. In fact, they've got only themselves and Pompey in that top 6 currently have played 1 less game on 9, 17 points from those 9 games, and it was a little bit of a hot and cold opening few weeks, but now 3 wins on the bounce. Ian Everett's side, they're starting to click, they're starting to gel, and they're getting better and better, and that's important. Gaining rhythm is the perfect time right now, and they are really reaping the rewards of that. 11 goals scored, 6 goals conceded. Defensively, a really good unit, and it's really difficult for Lincoln to go to Bolton and win the game anyway, but scoring a goal is going to be a start because defensively we're seeing that back 3 working really well. And again, they can create chances. The question is going to be improve the finishing and the output for at Bolton with Dion Charles being that number 9, but Varson and other players are coming back to full fitness, and off the ball they are quite influential. But another sort of out and out number 9 maybe could be the downfall for Bolton. But we say that every single week, and they still seem to be coming out with those wins, especially in his last 3 weeks. So I think they'll be okay. As for Lincoln City, I don't really know what I'm going to get with Lincoln. I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't think many Lincoln fans know either. But in those last 2 games, they have won. So this is going to be 2 come into this game with a lot of confidence, with a lot of positivity, and this is going to be a really, really interesting clash. Lincoln away from home this season have been good, a 6-3 win away from home in their last game, so they're going to be up for it. They score goals, 14 goals scored, 14 goals conceded. I expect goals in this game, I do. And I know Bolton maybe don't score as many as they would have wanted to. I think this could be the game when we see a couple of goals. I do. Now, I could jinx that completely. I usually do. But let's see. Bolton 3-5, 63% chance of winning, but this team actually wins 76% of their matches with these odds. So actually, Bolton outdo their percentage with those odds anyway. So Bolton, they are favourites, quite heavy favourites, really. I'm going to go with it's a Bolton win or it's a draw for me. It's going to be a 2-2 draw, but I'm going to go with a win for Bolton. If it's a draw, it's going to be 2-2, what I'm trying to say there. And I think Bolton will win it, though. I'm going to go 3-1. 3-1 to Bolton. But if it's a draw, it's going to be 2-2. Is that cheating? Probably. I expect this game to be quite fascinating. That's going to be an interesting encounter. Right, let's go to... And also, Lincoln City are playing much more attractive football as well, because when I remember Jake from the Stacey West podcast, of course, covering Lincoln City, he said that Mark Kennedy really is now trying to implement a really, really good brand of football, and it's getting better and better week in, week out. So I expect a good game of football there, because Ian Everett, he also plays with a real sense of attacking style. So I think it's going to be quite a fascinating game of football with goals and a good style, and that's exactly what we want to see, isn't it, on a Saturday afternoon? Right, let's go to MK Dons, because they are going to be hosting Peterborough United on round 12 of League One. Round 12, I mean, not one side is going into their 12th game, so I'm not quite sure what's going wrong there. Peterborough, 8th in the league, lost quite a few on the bounce, 4 on the bounce. In fact, it was more than that in all competitions, but in the league, 4 on the bounce, and then got back to winning ways last week, which is really important. Yet to draw a game, Peterborough United, 5 losses and 5 wins. 17 goals scored. They're good going forward. 10 goals conceded. Could be better, but again, it's not awful. But 5 losses and 5 wins. They hopefully have put that bad run to an end. That'll be what they'll be hoping, because that win, of course, was really important on Saturday. And in fact, if we break that game down a little bit more detail, it was a convincing one, wasn't it? 3-0 against Port Vale. That's going to be hoping. That's going to be trying to be. They'll be hoping that'll be the turning point. Well, they'll be hoping that's going to be the turning point. Before that, though, it was 1-0 defeat, 1-0 defeat. They weren't losing heavily, hence why their goals conceded isn't massive, but they were losing games, and that rut can get worse. And thankfully for them, it didn't, because they put things right with a convincing win over Port Vale. As for MK Dons, they didn't play last week, and they beat Oxford. That was the last game they played against Oxford, a 2-1 away win to us at the Kassam Stadium on the 17th of last month. Quite sure why I put that out there. I think it's because I scrolled over that and just saw 17th just sort of spring to mind. But it was quite a while ago, actually, 2 weeks ago now. And they're going to hopefully want to take that confidence from that game a couple of weeks ago. Because at the start of the season, it hasn't been amazing. It hasn't been exceptional, but they'll be hoping to sort of build some rhythm now. 10 points from 9, 5 defeats so far this season, and 3 wins and a draw in there as well. Not scoring the goals that Liam Manning wants to be scoring. They didn't play the sort of the extreme football against Oxford than they did, or would have tried to do, and did do last year, that proved to be very successful. But that's going to come with time. First and foremost, the results, and then again, those performances, they will get better. And the result was really good, they'll say, against Oxford last week. So this is going to be a really difficult one to predict. And MK Dons being the home side as well does make it hard. Winner home advantage does play a part. 33% for MK Dons, 42% for Peterborough United. In fact, Peterborough exactly the same specifically with those odds as well. MK Dons slightly lower at 29%. But Peterborough United, the away side, are the favourites. So we're seeing a bit of a trend here of the bookies. The higher placed side in the league are actually being seen as the favourite, which does surprise me. I expected it to be a little bit closer, because we know MK Dons, if they do build on that result against Oxford, then this could be a really difficult test. I mean, it's going to be a difficult test anyway, but even more of a difficult test with that confidence that Liam Manning will be hoping to sort of bring with his squad into this game on Saturday, or tomorrow for you watching this now. So, yeah, I'm going to go with a draw here. I'm going to go 2-2. Got a few high-scoring games. We've got a 2-2 draw, but I reckon Bolton might win it 3-1. We've got a 2-2 draw here. I'm going to go with a 2-2. Going to go with a 2-2. Let me know, MK Dons fans, Peterborough United fans, in the comment section down below. Liam Manning is my stepdad, of course, the MK Dons fan that always comes on the channel. Let me know, mate. I'm going to go 2-2. Probably take, but you do need to start winning some games. You want to sort of try and compete to get back into the real bunch of that real race. I mean, it's not. This is only 7 points, and that can be easily made up. But, to get back into the mix of things. And most importantly, gain some confidence and back up that win last week. And that's going to be the hope. But I'm going to go 2-2. And that's what Peterborough continue on that run. For both, I mean, it's similar, actually. Both sides really need to put that, last week's result, whenever that game was played, and build on it. Because that's exactly what they need to try and do. Because start of the season, all the games before that, they have been struggling. But it's going to be important to see who can really build on that in that game Saturday. So, Burton Albion versus Forest Green is the next game. We're going to scroll down a little bit, unfortunately, for both of these sides. Both in this relegation zone at the moment. 24th in the league for Burton. Yet to appoint a manager as well, I'm pretty sure, as a recording, replacing Jimmy from Hasselbank, of course, who resigned a couple of weeks ago. They did get their first win of the season a couple of weeks ago, but then weren't able to back that up the following week. 4 points from 10 games, 8 defeats from 10 as well, 24 goals conceded. It's looking pretty doom and gloom. Haven't got to look too far up your screen to find Forest Green, though. Points the difference between those two sides. Forest Green, after 10 games as well, 22 goals conceded, 22nd in the league, and like I say, 4 more points at 8 in total. But 22 goals conceded and 24 for both of those sides. For me, that is the big downfall. Not scoring enough either. 8 goals scored is not good enough, especially when you're shipping 22 goals in total, and really 11 when you're conceding 24 isn't much better either. Let's have a little look at the Burton. I've got a 54% chance of winning, so that's 50% in total. So exactly with those odds specifically, they've got a completely even chance. So, 54% with those odds specifically, but this team actually wins 50% of those matches with these odds. So it's going to be tight. They expect a tight game, which I understand, because I don't expect a brilliant game of football. It's either going to be a lot of goals because they've got a really quite weak defence, both of them. But then again, they're not scoring many either. So it really could go either way. I'm going to one draw in this one. Not one to write home about. I've got a feeling I won't be talking about this one in the roundup. in too much detail. We'll have to find out. Prove me wrong. But again, whatever happens, both of these sides do need to start picking some points up because at the moment, they have had quite a struggling start to the campaign. So next then we go to Wade Elliott's Cheltenham side who are hosting Shrewsbury Town on Saturday. Shrewsbury 9th in the league. Actually, in those last 5 games, not doing too badly at all. Only 1 defeat in their last 5 and 3 in their last 5, ending with them earning those 3 points. 15 points in total. 10 games they've played. 4 wins, 3 draws and 3 losses. So fairly inconsistent, but they are picking things up after quite a busy transfer window. We are seeing now a Shrewsbury side getting better and better. 11 goals scored, 11 goals conceded. So very even actually with their goals for and goals against, but slowly pushing, slowly improving, and that squad now who did see quite a bit of difference in terms of players coming through the door and players leaving as well, starting to gel, starting to click, and that's going to be really exciting over at Shrewsbury. As for Cheltenham, 20th in the league, just above that relegation zone. It's been hot and cold, hasn't it, in those last 5 in particular. A defeat to Accrington in their last one, 1-0 being the final score. They won the game before that. They drew, they've lost, they've won. They've been all over the shop. Actually, 12 goals conceded isn't too bad. 8 goals scored. That's going to be the downfall. They've actually, when they've lost games, they've lost them quite narrowly, really. I mean, 1-0 against Accrington was the game recently. The time before that, they lost 2-1, of course, to us. Oxford, what a game of football that was. Not for the amazing reasons of attractive football, but certainly was one that needed a bit of grit, needed a bit of fight, and Oxford got away with it, really. Some difficult decisions by the referee, but, we won the game, and we take it. All the wins at the moment at Oxford, we take them. But, look, it's been a bit hot and cold, and Wade Elliott is still trying to exactly figure out how his side needs to play. I think he's starting to really figure out how he wants his side to play as well. But they're not in that relegation zone. Goal difference is helping them out because they're not really conceding a shed loads of goals like the likes of Bristol Rovers, 22 for Forest Green and 24 for Burton. But we'll see what happens here. It's going to be a test. It really, really is. Looking at the odds, 9 to 5 odds, 36%, 43%. Both of these sides actually exceeding those odds, which is quite fascinating. 43 for Cheltenham and 42 for Shrewsbury. Specific odds and general odds as well, 36 to 37. Very, very tight. They expect a close game. And so can I, actually. So can I, because Cheltenham are the home side. They need to put things right after that defeat against Accrington that did not go down very well last week. And Shrewsbury, they want to back up that win they got, of course, on Saturday against... Who did they play against? I should know. Burton, 2-1. So, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw here. 1-1 draw. Cheltenham 1, Shrewsbury 1. That's what I'm going to go with. Let me know in the comment section down below. A tight game. Close, nitty-gritty game of football there. A tight battle. 1-1. The final score in that one is my prediction. But, again, not much to... I wouldn't take it to the bank because my predictions recently, they haven't quite been on the money. Right, let's go to... Where should we go next? I randomly pick these. I don't it, but I do pick the games that I think could be interesting to chat about at the right time when I'm feeling it. And I'm feeling a little bit of Port Vale now because they have got a test hosting Sheffield Wednesday. Darren Moore's Sheffield Wednesday, who are currently 4th in the league. 20 goals scored, 10 goals conceded, 20 points after 10 games. 6 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses. Actually, in the last 3 games, they're unbeaten and a win in their last one as well. I got them to get in that top 2 in predictions, my final predictions, if you like, and that went down quite well. Kept the Sheffield Wednesday fans happy. I don't do that. I never try and keep a fan base happy. I just sort of give my thoughts, and if that upsets people, it upsets people. But it's getting... I think it's going to take time, Sheffield Wednesday, but I see it getting better. I do. I think Darren Moore is now starting to exactly figure out... He's always going to make mistakes. Every manager does, and I understand the expectation of Sheffield Wednesday is high, and sometimes he can sort of get swallowed up. Expectation, but I think generally he is doing a good job. And 4th in the league, 20 points, only 2 points off Plymouth, who are of course top of the league. Let's just calm it down a little bit. Let's just calm it down. And then, of course, going to a Port Vale side who got promoted into League 2 ahead of this season. 10 games played, 3 wins, 3 draws and 4 losses. Again, quite hot and cold, quite inconsistent. But Port Vale, they're going to take that. A lot of people thought they'd get relegated. I think I was one of them that thought they would be really struggling down the bottom end of the league table. And again, that sort of momentum, adrenaline, and I guess excitement of being, getting into League One and being promoted is sort of really powering through these sort of difficult moments, and they're grinding out results. And again, they're scoring 10 goals. They are conceding 15, but they're 12 points from 10. They did lose their last game, but they, were unbeaten, in 3 weeks before that. I just think they're going to be a real test. They're going to make it difficult for Sheffield Wednesday. They're going to play pragmatic. They're going to try and make it really difficult for Sheffield Wednesday to gain any sort of momentum and any type of rhythm, and that's going to be quite a challenging watch, I imagine, for Sheffield Wednesday fans. But Port Vale, they're going to have a go. They're going to have a go, and I like that. I do like that because it's working well for them so far this season. Let's have a look at the odds here. Port Vale 25%, Sheffield Wednesday 51%. So as expected, Sheffield Wednesday actually are the favourites. Actually, not very good with those specific odds at Wednesday. Both of them do worse. 10% for Port Vale lower, 28% for Sheffield Wednesday. But generally still, Darren Moore's side are the favourites in this one. And do I expect them to, for it to be like that? Of course I do. The quality in terms of, in terms of their squads, there is a gulf in that quality, and it is leading towards Sheffield Wednesday. Of course it is, but generally still, they're not going to make it easy, Port Vale, and that excites me. So I'm going to go, and with all of that being said, I'm going to go with Sheffield Wednesday winning it though. I do, but I want to mention Port Vale because they have had a good start to the season. Not many people are talking about them. Watch out for them. They're going to make it. They're going to make it difficult. It's going to be a breeze. But I'm going to go Sheffield Wednesday winning, and I'm going to go with a 2-0 win, which completely contradicts everything I've said. But I do want to give Port Vale credit. I just think that squad, the depth that Sheffield Wednesday got, the different options they've got, I just think they're going to be able to get through that game. And yeah, I just feel as though they've got enough. They've got plenty. And as long as Darren Moore makes the right team selection and that game goes the way they want it to play, and they want it, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine ultimately. That's how I feel. Right, let's go to... Is that all of these done on this page other than those two? I think it is. Let's go to Oxford United. Well, not literally to Oxford United. Charlton, but they are Oxford travelling to Charlton. I'm going to the game. I'm going to the Valley, which is really exciting. I've never been to the Valley before, so I'm really, really looking forward to going there to watch two sides who aren't doing amazingly well. They're not doing amazingly well. 16th and 19th for two sides who actually had quite a busy summer. But actually, I think quite similar in the fact that both sets of fans came out going, that could have gone better. That could have gone better. I feel as though we both came out going, could have been a position we could have done better in terms of recruitment. Striker for Charlton, Oxford, quite a few areas, I'll be honest, but I think there was still an expectation for both of these sides to be in and around that top six, and again, there might still be a chance for that. Of course, there will be. Like I say, it's so early days, and it is only 10 games. But at the same time, starting the season strong is really important, and unfortunately, both of these sides haven't really been able to do that. Charlton have done slightly better. They've drawn 5 games, they've lost 3, but they have only won 2. The last 5 games haven't been very good. Actually, winless in their last 5. They lost their last game. Oxford. 2 defeats on the bounce, Plymouth, and then, of course, MK Dons last week. It's been such a long time, 2 weeks tomorrow since we last played. So, again, it's been quite a long time. But I do know, unfortunately, I can't forget the bad performances, even though it has been quite a while. And it's going to be a really, really interesting game of football because both of these sides know how important it is that they get back to winning ways and start really picking their season up from the ground. Because at the moment, both of these seasons are on the floor, and they need to sort of really get back into the swing of things, and it will not be easy, and there's going to be a real sense of desperation, I feel, for both managers and for both players and, again, supporters as well, really. Only 1 point between the two sides as well. It's going to be tight. It's so close. Very similar, actually. Similar situations. Charlton 6-5, 45% chance of winning. Oxford 30%, 45-19%. So Charlton, they are favourites. Ben Garner's boys, of course, are favourites in this one. The home side, of course, that is always going to give them that sort of edge. But still, I think it's going to be a draw. It's got a draw written all over it, unfortunately. I think it's going to be 1-1. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw on this one, which wouldn't really be a good result for either side. Charlton would continue on their win-less run, and Oxford, it wouldn't really take us anywhere. I mean, it'd stop our sort of losing streak run at the moment, but again, a draw when you're trying to really be pushing up, it doesn't really mean much. But I would take a draw, really, if I'm being completely honest, because the Valley, it's never an easy place to go. Form or not, Charlton form or not, it doesn't really matter. It's still going to be a very difficult place to go. But I'd rather win the game, obviously. Breaking news. But so, of course, would Ben Garner's side. So, let's go to the next one then. The final one on this page. We think we've got 3 games left. Wycombe against Plymouth Argyle is the next game. Plymouth, of course, league leaders. first in the league after 10 games. By the way, I've got an awful cold, so if, I'm sort of sound a little bit blocked up. The cold is it's here in full fashion. It might be fresh as fluid though. It might be. I've been out a few nights on the bounce and yeah, the body's sort of adjusting to the university life, but we power through and we continue talking about the football. Yeah, as I was saying, Plymouth, league leaders, top of the league, 10 games played, 7 wins, 1 draw and 2 losses, 22 points on a really good run, and an exceptional win against Ipswich last week. Of course, it was one of those games where Ipswich were unbeaten. Plymouth, they really needed to put in a serious performance to beat Kieran McKenna's side, and they were able to. They came from 1-0 down to go and win the game. Mumba, of course, Whittaker as well, a key player, scored a goal in that game. I really like Mumba, by the way. He's sort of my Plymouth player this year. Sort of Kamara last season, of course, is now at Ipswich. He was my sort of player last year. I really like Kamara. I know he didn't sort of end in brilliant shape. At Plymouth, of course, he left the club in fashion, I believe, but I did like him. He looked like a really good player. And he was quite good to watch and quite an influential player. But this year, Mumba on that left-hand side, number 17, he's such an exciting player. Gets in with the goals, very energetic, very quick, really good on the ball. I like him. So watch out, Wycombe fans, for Mumba. He's going to be lively. As for Wycombe, of course, the home side, currently at 17th in the league. Not really a Wycombe start to the season that we normally do see under Gareth Ainsworth. 3 wins, 2 draws, and 5 defeats. 15 goals conceded. Not the shored-up base back line of Wycombe. Normally starting from the back, Stockdale, Tavazzoli, Stewart, 2 of those players leaving. That seems to be a real problem, and they are still adjusting to quite a few players leaving the football club of quite key figure heads, you'd say, actually. 11 points for Wycombe so far in those 10 games. It's going to be a difficult test. It really, really is. Wycombe 17-10, 37% chance of winning. Plymouth 17-10, exactly 37% chance of winning. It's so tight. It's so equal. And you can't sleep on Wycombe. You can't sleep on them. At home as well, they're a real force. And they're going to make it so hard for Plymouth. They're not going to allow them to try and play their football. The Stephen Schumacher's going to want to try want to see his Plymouth side play. We know the way that Argyle want to get on the ball. They want to play quite a high line with that back three, get those fullbacks quite high and wide. And they want to get whoever plays up front, Ryan Hardy can get in behind. Cosgrove's an option. Whittaker, like I said, Azaz is really attacking, sparking that sort of number 10, sort of just behind the striker kind of role. That they've got players that want to try and get in that type of game, and Wycombe, they're going to try and nullify that. It's exactly what they're going to try and do. Slow the game down, play quite direct. Sam Vokes, I believe, is back as well, so that's going to give them a bit more of a focal point. Quite early on, sort of that focal point wasn't there, and now hopefully Sam Vokes will be able to provide them that. So 40%, 46%, so actually Plymouth are favourites specifically, but by looking at the odds just generally on face value, it is so tight. So a draw actually is the favourite here. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the draw. Again, looking at the odds is I don't want it to completely dictate my prediction, but that is hard, and I do generally understand why that is the case. And the reason why bookies favour, we look at the odds and the bookies have these odds is because people also think like that, and I agree with these people that are putting money on a draw. I think it's got a draw all over it. Wycombe are going to make it really tough, so I'm going to go 1-1. But, so I'm not sitting on the fence for this one. I'm going to go, if there is a winner, it's going to be Plymouth, and it's going to be 2-1. But I'm going to go with a 1-1. That's my prediction. But I wouldn't be surprised if Plymouth basically do win the game 2-1 in the end. Right, we're nearly there. We're getting there, people. We're getting there. It's been a while since these predictions. We've been doing these predictions, but let's come back to that one for obvious reasons. That's the big one, isn't it? Cambridge United against Derby County is the next one. So, Cambridge United... Don't say it. Mark Bonner, he's staying. Announced that he's going to be staying at the football club, not going to Rotherham United, that vacant job in the Championship, which is really important. And talking about the Rotherham job, well, the reason why that is vacant is because, of course, Paul Warne is the manager of Derby County. Rosen, of course, left the football club or stepped down from his job as manager, or interim manager, I should say. And now Paul Warne, someone who knows Rotherham United, but knows League One, more importantly, very, very well. And he knows exactly what to do to get out of this division. And I think they've got a really good manager. I think they really, really do. I think he's somebody, like I say, who's got real experience at this level and knows how to get a side playing good football. It's quite contrasting, actually. I mean, Liam Rosen and Paul Warne have got quite different styles of play, but I actually think, you're not going to see things be Paul Warne on Saturday. You're going to see probably a mix of both. He's been only working with the players, I believe, for a week, so it's going to take time. But I think it generally is a really good appointment. And long term, I think you're going to see quite a different Derby side. But scoring goals is going to be the big one. They need to score more. I mean, they've only scored 9 so far this season. I think Paul Warne is going to want to try and see his side do that. He's got kind of having quite a high scoring side, especially in Sky Bet League One. 9 goals conceded. He has got quite a good base of a defence to work with. But sort of a bit of output, a bit of attacking output and creativity, the downfall, and needs to be resolved ASAP. Cambridge United, 7th in the league, just outside that top 6, a win in their last game. It's going to be a really difficult test hosting Derby County in this one. But I just don't know what we're going to get with Derby because, of course, the new manager, but I think it's going to be quite interesting. And ultimately, Cambridge, the bottom line is they're going to have to be at their best. And so will Derby because Cambridge, they're going to be a banana skip. They're going to try and be a banana skip. They're going to try and cause a problem. They're going to try and spoil the Paul Warne party. That's what Cambridge are going to exactly try and put together. Cambridge 5-2, 29% chance of winning, 38% in total. Derby County 23-20. The expected chance of winning is 47%, so 50% exactly of Derby County specifically. So Derby, they are the favourites. I'm going to go with a draw for Paul Warne's first game as Derby manager. I'm going to go 2-2, another 2-2. So many 2-2s for my predictions. What is it? Back doing predictions and previews, another 2-2. But that's what I'm going to go with. A draw between Cambridge United and Derby County in this one. So it's time for the headline fixture, Ipswich versus Pompey. You can see why it is the headline fixture by just looking at the league table. I'm looking this way now. I've just quickly moved my screen. But second versus third, you can see exactly why everyone's speaking about it and why it is such a huge game. And why does it feel so big? Well, of course, Pompey are still the only side unbeaten in Sky Bet League One after 9 games. Ipswich lost last Saturday against Plymouth, losing top spot. That's going to be a bit of a kick in the teeth. And Kieran McKenna will be really hoping to put things right after that disappointing defeat last time around. Exactly the same when it comes to wins, when it comes to draws, and of course, only 1 defeat for Ipswich, but none for Danny Cowley's boys. 8 goals conceded, exactly the same as each other, and 19 goals scored, exactly the same as each other as well. So rare, both on 21 points. It's so tight, it is so close. Looking at the odds, Ipswich are currently 4-5, which is a 56% chance normally, 67 actually with them, 56 and 67 specifically for Ipswich. We haven't got Pompey's, but it does see Kieran McKenna's side, the home side at Portman Road, favourites in this fixture. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. I've gone with quite a few 2-2 draws, of course, for this predictions and preview episode. I just feel as though it's got a draw, it's got a high-scoring draw around it. Both like to score goals. Not many concede, so maybe that could be an interesting angle on it. But I just think it's going to be a game full of excitement, full of hype. A sell-out Pompey end as well. It's going to be, I believe, a very, very full Portman Road. I imagine it will be. I know Pompey have sold out, Tom's told me. I look forward to watching Alex Griffins and Tom from 4 Written All Over at their matchday vlog. I imagine they're going to have some quite contrasting opinions on it. So I look forward to it. I really, really do. And I imagine I'll also be breaking it down for the roundup, of course, on Sunday. So I look forward to that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been my preview and prediction episode for match week 10/11. Whatever you want to call it. Either way, I've really enjoyed it. Good to be back. Glad that football is back as well. Hopefully you are as well. Please leave a like and subscribe. Join the Discord server. Link in the description. Give me your predictions and thoughts in the comment section down below. Until next time, I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. Good luck this weekend. Unless you're a Charlton fan. I'm joking. I'm not really joking, Charlton. I need you to have an absolute nightmare. And I'll see you very, very soon. Take care and good luck. See you in a bit.